let's welcome again to My Clashes writer, columnist and journalist Emma Woolf, and also political commentator Jonathan Less. Right, they're going to head-to-head. How many heads have they got? Loads of them. Right, it is the clash. Right, so first, let's talk about polling, because a lot of this polling is suggesting a massive Labour landslide, but there are lots of things, there are lots of variables that could happen in between. I mean, we saw what happened with Rishi Sunak not doing the D-Day thing, not staying for the whole event, the international part of it, and we've seen that in the debates, Keir Starmer has seemed to sort of fumble a little bit. It hasn't looked as positive. We've seen Nigel Farage and one of them win the debate, but yet people saying there's no seats, and the Greens doing well, and the Liberal Democrats going well. I'm going to start with you, Emma Woolf. What are your thoughts on this? And in particular, if polling is right and there is a massive landslide to the Labour Party, is that undemocratic?
No, I don't think it's undemocratic, but I think because a vote is a vote, and this is our system. I think our system is completely broken. As you saw there, Lib Dems on course to get 56 seats with 11% of the vote, whereas Reform on course to get 7 seats, for example, with 13% of the vote. So our system is actually broken. A vote doesn't represent a vote. A vote doesn't represent a representation in Parliament because of first past the post. So it's a system which I don't agree with. Then again, proportional representation has its own problems, you know, and you end up with terrible hung parliaments and all of that kind of stuff. But what I think is more interesting than the Labour landslide is the absolute near virtual extinction, the probability of near extinction of the Conservative Party, who have been around, as Tom said there, since 1834. We are talking about an existential. I don't think it was the D-Day blunder. I don't think it was calling a general election in the rain. I think it goes way back. I think the Tory Party...
You don't think it was standing in front of the Titanic quarter?
It wasn't the Titanic quarter. I think the problems go, I mean, at least a few months, at least a few years back. The Conservative Party has an existential crisis. They've been tearing themselves apart for several years now. What I'm really interested in, and then I will shut up, is this thing about the polling. For me, what about turnout? What is turnout going to be? Because I thought, until a few weeks ago, I thought turnout's going to be so low, because there's so many reluctant Conservatives like me who just think, I can't vote for that, but what else do I vote for? But now that Farage has jumped into the ring, now that the Reform kind of bombshell has gone off, I hear a lot of people now enthused and wanting to get out there and vote for Reform. So I think turnout could be recovering, but let's see, because all of these percentages are only on people who are going to vote. What about the people who don't vote?
Are you one of them?
Jonathan,
are you thinking about voting Reform?
I would never, ever reveal my voting intentions, Jonathan.
Well, are you one of them?
No, I think that to the surprise of precisely nobody, Reform is not probably going to get my vote at the next election. But I always have a fantastic Labour MP who I'm delighted to vote for anyway. Look, I actually agree with a lot of what Emma just said, because Labour is obviously on course for a huge majority. That's not controversial at this point. Obviously, you can have so-called, a deus ex machina, something that we don't yet know in the next. But there's not very much time for that either. And I probably hope it doesn't happen, because it's probably not going to be a good thing if it is a thing. But even if I think at this point, when people are so kind of entrenched in their opinions, people have made up their minds about the Conservative Party, not so much about Labour, but they've made up their minds about the Conservative Party. I think what a lot of people get wrong in this conversation is to say there's no enthusiasm for Labour, Labour has a soft vote. That's true, but people are very, very determined to get rid of the Conservatives. There is no doubt. There's not a soft dislike of the Conservative Party, there's a hard dislike of the Conservative Party.
Let's be fair, though, just from what we see in the polling and what we hear on the street, that is a very real potential thing that will happen, that the Conservative Party, I don't think will be winning this next general election. I don't think I'm being controversial in saying that. Every poll is suggesting that, right. And a lot of Conservatives are saying they don't want to vote.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm saying.
It's totally not controversial at all. But the point of it is, if Labour do get this wonderful majority, does it feel somewhat undemocratic? Because obviously within there, suddenly every single one of their policies can be unchallenged within this democracy.
Well, that's always been the case with big majorities, and actually, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Emma so much here. That's never happened before. But I agree completely that we need to change our electoral system, and I think there should be a consistency, whether you're on the left or the right. I agree that if Reform gets a hell of a lot of votes, that should correspond to seats. I say that as somebody who loathes their politics and who thoroughly dislikes a lot of the people behind that movement.
It does still feel wrong, though, doesn't it? That millions of people could vote. Whether it's
I've said that
whoever,
before, like, we're looking at
millions of people will not be represented in seats.
Absolutely, and we need to have a proportional system where we get used to, as is the case, the absolute norm across mainland Europe and many other countries besides, where people just get used to working with each other. We have this idea in Britain that strong government requires one party to have an absolute lead. That's not good for politics.
Well, I'm going to stop this clash immediately because they're agreeing. I don't like it.